Okay. Start live. YouTube, you live over there? Uh-oh, there's an error. Oh. You may not be able to do Instagram. I don't know what the Wi-Fi is here.
Set up.
No, but I don't remember asking for a password. Sorry, YouTube. Hey, Facebook, is anyone there? We are trying to get set up in our new house. It's our first time doing our live, and I just realized that I don't know what. I don't remember what our Instagram is. Hey, Amanda. Thanks for joining. Oh, we might need to do this taller. Sorry, guys. We have never done it in this house before, and we're trying to do it. Whew. Bear with me. Is that better? We're trying to do it in our. Is that better? Can you see us? Can you hear us? I feel like I need to. Sorry. Smack. I feel like I need to. Anyways, we're trying to do it from our living room instead of our kitchen, which is what we used to do at our old place. So bear with us as we're trying to figure out angles and lighting and all of that fun stuff. So thank you for joining. I feel so bad. I talked about it on Instagram, and people are going to be expecting a live, but I just don't know. Because they never asked me for a password when I set it up. That's what was weird. I know, but man, all the little things you have to do when you're moving, right? Bear with us. How do you share some wisdom with the folks? I'll try and remember. Tell them about your day.
No.
We had a busy. Oh, it's incorrect. I swear that's what I put it as. Let
Go.
me try one more thing. Facebook, hold on with us. I just feel so bad. I have a lot of questions on Instagram. This is real life, y'all. This is the voice of a live. It's never perfect. Oh, shoot. I'm going to have it twice. It's got us twice. Give us a like if you also hate setting up a new Wi-Fi network. This is what happens. He usually does all the technology stuff, and he had to work. So I was like, I'll set up the new router. It's okay. I can do this. My phone is on data, so it's the only way that's working. Still have not put that on Wi-Fi yet. Oh, shoot. I feel so bad leaving Instagram out. Instagram is my favorite. Sorry, YouTube. Sorry, Facebook. Okay. Oh, well. Okay. So, as you know, we do lives every Monday because I just keep hoping that the phone's magically going to work. And we talk about all things food allergy life related because I am Megan and I am the blogger over at Allergy Awesomeness. It's a blog for food allergies, mostly recipes. And so we try and tie in all the real world situations that happen along with food allergies because there's a lot that goes along with it. So my name is Megan and
my name is Claudia.
And he's my husband. Giving me nothing to work on tonight. And we just think it's nice to have food allergy parents that can come together and have one another understand each other because it's a very unique situation sometimes and it can feel kind of isolating. So we usually try and pick a topic and then you guys please interrupt. We're happy to answer questions or just to hear how your allergy week went. Like, was there something that happened that you want to share? Was there something good? Your child or you were included, or was it a tough week, or do you have questions? And that's kind of how we got our topic for today. Like I mentioned, we just moved, And so my son started at a new school, and I was doing some Instagram stories about right before I was about to go into the meeting and kind of talking about the different things that I was going to be asking for on our 504 plan. And I just got a lot of questions about it. So the more like direct messages I was getting, I was like, okay, we just need to do a live video because it's easier to answer all in one place than try and do a million individual messages. And that way we can share from each other, because there might be things that other allergy parents are doing that are super helpful that we don't, based on the different levels of severity. So hopefully this can just be a learning and sharing experience. And if you're watching this not live, but you still feel like you have something to add, please do. Put it in the comments so other people can learn and grow from this experience. So, let's start off with our tidbit. You want to start?
What's your tidbit?
We like to start off with a tidbit, even though I forget like every single week. But it's fun to do because then people can see if we have anything in common. So, this is a fun tidbit. It was my birthday on Saturday. Some of you may know because I shared a few things with that, but I don't know if I shared my age. Did I? I'm 32, born in 86. If there's any other 86ers out there. So it was a really nice birthday. It was good. It was nice to have a birthday on a weekend. My grandma was in town. We went out for a fun date that night. And we moved into a new house last week. I mean, what better birthday present could you get? It's not new. It's new to us. It's probably from like the 80s. Is that when they built it?
I don't know.
Something like that. Okay, so your tidbit.
My tidbit.
Mm-hmm. Tough one. What's your favorite
I can't
food?
even remember tidbits I've already shared.
Okay, what's your favorite food?
It's a harder thing. I like lasagna. I'm a big lasagna fan
And why is that?
because it's good.
Well, no, because you're from Boston. I feel like Boston's known for like the Italian and his adopted mother is Italian. Like, don't you think that has a little to do with it?
No. I think being from Boston, there's a lot of diverse food. I would agree. And having been exposed to a lot of diverse foods, lasagna is one that I enjoy very much.
And I make some bomb
And I
lasagna
ask for it for my
every
birthday
every
because
year.
it's not made any other time.
That's, well, okay.
But yes, I love lasagna. I know how, and I make a mean lasagna.
He does.
By the way.
He makes a good lasagna.
So.
But
then I went gluten-free, which also made it harder to have lasagna.
yeah, that's okay. For the record, if we just ate gluten-free, we'd be having lasagna all the time. But being gluten-free, beef-free, dairy-free, egg-free, really difficult. So
lasagna-free.
Yeah, it ends up being lasagna-free. So on his birthday, I'll make him a separate pan, and I do kind of a close concoction for our one son, so he can feel included. But it's a lot of work making two pans because lasagna, there's all the layering. And anyways, you moms feel me. You know how it is. I have to make two dinners, and I refuse to. Like, if you see my blog, that's why I started my blog, is so you can just make one meal instead of like all these multiple meals. So I'm only willing to do that because I love him on his birthday.
Only on my birthday.
Yes. Anyways, we could go on a lasagna tangent, but let's talk 504 plans. And I wish that phone, the Wi-Fi was working because.
If you need any tips with your lasagna, I'm your man, by the way.
There you go. Type in your questions about lasagna.
Not two lasagnas are created equal.
Yeah, I picked up a few tips from him. It's true. When we start dating. Okay. I apologize. Someone left me a long comment when I said we were about to go live, and now I don't know how to get to it. If I can open it up on here. But she had some really good questions. Dang it. Let me see. Well, first of all, Claudia, do you want to just talk about, off the top of your head, do you remember some of the things we asked for Carter at school to keep him safe?
Maybe we need to explain what a 504 plan is first.
Yeah.
Just in case people don't know what that is.
That's true. Some people did ask that. Okay, so a 504 plan is a legal document, and it's used all across the country. It's a national document, and it is in place. There's basically an agreement between you and the school what they are going to do for your child. And a 504, you have to qualify for one, and it's considered like a disabilities act. It's under the Disabilities Act. And even though food allergies aren't always considered a disability, in this case it is, because it affects your child's ability to have equal access to education, because food is so often used, whether it's just in the lunchroom, as a food craft, as rewards, parties, and so on. And so that's kind of our loophole to make sure that there is this, to me, it's what, like, it's this, pull out the big guns, make sure the school and I are on the same page. So I always really appreciate being able to do that. And I feel like I get so many questions from moms, which I'm always surprised, where they're like, does my child need a 504 plan? And then they'll like list all these allergies they have. And I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. Like, please, yes, get a 504 plan. If your child even has one allergy, get a 504 plan, because that is your security. If the school is excluding, messing up, not taking things serious, that you have that informal writing, because heaven forbid, if something did happen, you could file a complaint and take it all the way up the chain. So that is your like insurance policy. So please have a 504 plan in place. There is something, I don't want to get too technical, called an IEP, Sense for Individual Education Plan.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, but my child already has an IEP. And it's like, well, that's great. And say it with me, you still need a 504 plan. And some people say, but I have a health plan. And what do we say? Say it with me. This is not a 504 plan. Because, so the way I've had it explained to me is, a 504 plan is like the legal binding document. The health plan is what they do if something happens. So they go hand in hand together. So don't let a school talk you out of it. I've had schools, even our son went to kind of like a special ed preschool because he had a stutter and things like that, and he was delayed. He's since caught up, but they were like, oh, we're a special education school, so we know how to handle it. You don't need a 504 plan. Don't buy it.
Still need
a 504 plan. I think sometimes they just I don't know what their motive is. It's a lot of paperwork, it's formal, it holds their butt accountable, so I think sometimes they steer away from it, but hold your ground, like, do it anyway. Okay, so I think we beat that to death. Okay, here is a good question. So she says, actually, no, sorry. I have one for my daughter who's type 1 diabetes. Exactly. It is for children who, whether in a wheelchair, who need oxygen, who have diabetes, who have asthma, who have any kind of condition that will possibly interfere with them getting equal access to education. I had to explain really well one time where it was like different heights of kids, and they were all trying to see over a fence. And they said, like, that is like, to be able to see over the fence is education. And just because someone has something physically impairing them, they should be able to still see over the fence. So if they have to stand on a box to look over, then that 504 plan is like the box. And all it is equaling out the playing field. It's not going above and beyond. It's just making sure your child can participate in all activities fully and not be excluded. So she says, my 5-year-old is starting hey, Jennifer, sorry. And hey, Heather, good. I'm glad. Yeah, that's a 504 plan. Amanda, I'm glad your child has one. So Jennifer says, scrolling. My daughter's starting kindergarten in August. I have no clue where to start. Okay, so you're in the right place. Start here. The next thing is I pulled like all of my EOE and allergy mom friends and was like, what do you put on yours? And I am writing a blog post, and I will post it live of all the things we do. So if you want to try to remember, I'll have it in writing. And then FARE, F-A-R-E, the National Nonprofit for Food Allergies, has really good where to start 504 plan. You can also talk to your school district. Every school district should have a 504 coordinator. I've attended an in-person training that they did for a couple of districts all together. So there's often trainings, especially around the fall time. FARE will often do webinars. So there's a lot of different ways for you to kind of get your feet wet, learn the terminology, and so forth.
Hey, Sherry.
Hey, Sherry. Yeah, Amanda says she had to fight for it. Sometimes you do, but you know what? I feel like and Sherry, chime in because she's a teacher. And I feel like it's just a good way for like you and the school to test your boundaries. Are you going to be that pushover mom because you didn't fight for the 504 plan? And please understand, I am not saying to be rude. I am not saying to be judgmental. I'm not saying throw your weight around. I'm just saying hold your boundaries. And I think you can still do that kindly, but assertively. So I think it's really important that if you feel your child needs a 504 plan, that you assert yourself. So yes, Amanda, I want to get to you because Amanda has some really good points. I've talked to her about her daughter's plan personally. Okay, so Vivian, I hope you're on here. I feel like maybe we should back up a little bit.
As far as what?
Well, where should we go? Like, do we want to just start answering questions? Do we want to talk about our experience some more? Maybe we'll just explain what we've asked for.
Yeah.
And then that might answer some of the questions.
Yeah.
Okay. So our son, to remind anyone that's new, he has EOE and he has like 20 triggers with that. And it's not life-threatening, but if he was to eat it, the 20 are.
Yeah.
So if he was to eat any of those 20 triggers, he could have esophageal problems, food getting caught, it being swollen for days, him feeling like he has to clear his throat, stomach pain, bowel issues. So it would make him very uncomfortable. Now there's 10 foods that he's anaphylactic to that if he was to eat it, would most likely need an EpiPen, rush to the ER, potential death. So there's this influx of different varying foods. Then he has asthma, and yeah, EOE, food allergies, asthma. So we have it cover all of that. Seasonal allergies. So we went with what do we feel his maturity is? What is the grade level going to be expecting and wanting to do? And what does he need, first and foremost, really medically to have happen to keep him safe? And then emotional safety as well, as far as, and it's hard trying to balance all those. And like we have family members that are teachers, we have friends that are teachers. So I know me, I tend to like almost be too nice. Like it's hard for me to not be like, well, I don't want to inconvenience people. It's hard for me. Like I used to have a really hard time like asking for considerations because I felt like a bug. Accommodations. Like I felt like a bug or a nuisance or that annoying parent. Like I had all these distortions and things I would get caught up in that I didn't want to be seen as that parent, you know? So I wanted to like please the teacher and please the school. And I find I still sometimes struggle with that. I know there are people on the opposite end that like they go in like claws bared. They'd rather like it's easier for them to go in really tough and then back off. So I know like everyone has their own issues with having to do this for their child. And hopefully, I don't know, I just feel like you need to be self-reflective enough to recognize your style and to recognize like us, like we talk it out before I even go into the meeting of like, what do we feel he needs? What am I going to ask for? You know, what's like the non-negotiable versus like, okay, because there's been times where, especially where he's still so young, where like I'll go in and I'll ask the teacher, because I like to sit down with the school nurse, the teacher, and the principal.
Yeah.
And if needed, a 504 coordinator. We haven't ever had one, but some people do. I don't think there's a right or wrong personally with that. So, and I've asked, like, I'm sure you've had other students with food allergies. My son is my oldest and my first is food allergies. So what have you done before? Or what have you seen has worked? Not saying I have to take their suggestion, but sometimes it's nice to get their opinions. And sometimes I think it's nice for them to feel like they have an opportunity to say, like, that's really tough. So we've had two different things now that we've been at two different schools. It's been interesting to compare and contrast because I don't even remember if I told you this, but his first teacher was like, oh, if there's ever birthday treats, I like to just don't let them hand it out in class, and they hand it to the kids as they're walking out the door. Because she just didn't want to deal with the mess and like taking the time to eat the treat. So that was really handy because then there wasn't the cross-contamination in the classroom. And he could run right out and say, you know, can I have this? No, okay, so on and so forth. And then he wasn't watching kids eat something in front of him that he couldn't have. This teacher doesn't want to do it this way, but I had suggested. So it's just kind of different styles, I think. And that's why, I mean, it only goes for a year and then it expires and you have to do it every single year, which I think it's kind of a pain, but it ends up working out because with every teacher, especially in like elementary school, you're going to have different styles and different abilities as far as them getting older, and then the teachers' preferences. So, okay, so I feel like that's the groundwork. You need a 504 plan, legal document. Oh, and I mentioned this in my Instagram stories. You've read this too, but I really suggest for people, especially if you're more like me, where you used to be more timid. Oh, that's good to know. Really? I thought it was nationally. That's interesting. Do you at least go in every year and review it? I would ask to sit down and review it with every new teacher.
Always get farther with honey than vinegar.
Yes, I agree, Sherry. So, so Sherry says, you'll always go farther with honey than vinegar. 504 is a way to go for accommodations and modifications. Always communicate with the teacher and be polite. Nothing wrong with having a 504 coordinator. Every school will be different, but all schools must follow 504. It's a law. Great idea to hand out treats on the way out the door. Yes, annual, because things change and modifications will change with age and development. Yes. And speaking of the catch more flies with honey than vinegar, when I went in, I had took his special chocolate bars, his Enjoy Life candy bars, because I think they're actually really good. Like there are some allergy,
not bad.
Yeah, there's some allergy friendly candy that like we'll tolerate, but we don't love. And I want it to be something yummy. And so before we sat down, I handed everyone a candy bar, and I was like, I just thought it'd be fun to share a special treat that our son loves with you, so we can, because chocolate makes everything better. Let's all like have a meeting over some chocolate as we discuss how to best make it safe for my son. And then I always try and thank them a lot, not with a bad motive to like manipulate. Yeah, but just like, hey, I recognize you have like 30 plus students. You're already stressed to the max, and now I'm asking you to be extra eyes and ears and have these extra protocols. I remember at the end of our 504 meeting at my son's first school this year, the teacher was like, she just looked like terrified. Like her eyes were glazed over. And she's like, I'm just really nervous. And I found myself being like, we can do this. We can communicate. And I know it seems like a lot, but it really will. He's really good at communicating and blah, 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 blah. Because, you know, it seems like a lot. Like I think as allergy parents, we're used to like all the little steps and stuff. But I think we need to appreciate, like, if you don't know anything about food allergies, it can seem terrifying. Like, I might have to stick a needle in your child's thigh, like, you know? And I also try to remind them, like, I am not just doing this for my son's safety. Like, it's terrifying to go through an anaphylactic.
To experience someone going through anaphylactic.
It's so scary. And I don't want to have a teacher go through that.
Or the other kids.
Yeah. I mean, especially when they're little, like, see an ambulance come, like how disruptive, and to like live through that, and the kids see my son possibly like blacking out and can't breathe. Like it's a scary, awful situation for anyone involved. And I want these protocols in place for not just my son, but for everyone. So no one's having to deal with it. So you can just upload it and review it anytime. That's so weird. I've never heard of them not expiring, but yeah, Amanda says she brings cold, fresh water bottles. And so my sister-in-law says it's scary to think about that as a teacher. Yeah, it is scary. You feel for these teachers. They have a lot to juggle, and it's scary as a parent as well. So things that we require, and this does not have to be set in stone. This just works for us. I've definitely heard of modifications. So I was trying to think of all of them, but like I mentioned, they'll all be in. Oh shoot, did I hope YouTube is still going. I switched over. Hi YouTube, you still there? Okay. I moved my screen so I could see the Facebook questions. Okay. So so I asked, because I work from home. Besides my blog, I also freelance, right? And how do you stopping. I want to make sure I answer all of your questions. Dina asks, how do you start a 504 plan? I just call my school and I say my son needs a 504 plan. Can I set up a meeting with the principal? And then together we fill out the paperwork, and it says, you know, do you agree to have your child assessed for a 504 plan? Yes. Are you self-referring? Yes. Because you're saying, I think I need it. Sometimes they want documentation. Usually once a 504 plan is in place, you're already, yeah. So you can have your allergist write a note. and so on. And we'll get to that because there is documentation that's needed.
Yeah.
So yeah, when my son transferred, I said, I'm registering my son for the school. He's going to have a 504 plan transferring over. I'd like to sit down and discuss it. Can we schedule a meeting for a 504 plan? And they do them so often at a school. Like, you'll feel like the newbie. They'll know what's going on because they do it for all sorts of conditions and stuff. So, and you can ask your teacher. I just found since usually the principal's harder to coordinate with, scheduling with him, and then he's always just pulled, or her is pulled in the teachers when their whole schedule is ready, and then I go into their office. So the things that we ask for. So I asked for 24 hours notice because for me, 24 hours is enough turnaround time. I do know other allergy parents who work full time and they do more like 48 hours or longer.
24 hours notice that they're bringing food.
Well, for a couple of things. Yeah. So it's if there's going to be food served in the class, if there's going to be any kind of food craft. So like they want to use milk cartons for bird cages or whatever. Like I need notice so I can find a substitute. And there's different variations. There's some moms who don't want it in the classroom at all. So they'll say, I need 24 hours substitute, or however long you feel comfortable with to find a substitute for the whole class to help you think of a different idea. Or with our son, where he's not contact reactive, he's very mature. We feel like he's fine as long as he has his own equal thing, as long as with the accommodation of everyone washes their hands after soap and water. So yeah, I need 24-hour notice if there's gonna be food craft, if there's gonna be food served, if there's gonna be a party, if there's gonna be a field trip, anything that could potentially involve food.
Yeah.
And then for birthday treats, I say there's some parents, and again, like it's totally up to you what you feel comfortable with your child. And we might do it different. With our second, he is sneaky. We might have to do a different kind of 504 plan. Don't even get me started. He's not trustworthy. So, so we say that other birthday treats can be brought in, and that our son has a safe bag. And I try and get him like the really exciting stuff that we don't buy very often unless it's expensive. Mm-hmm. So he can be equally as excited, like, oh, I got a whole Enjoy Life chocolate bar. And those kids only got a small cupcake or whatever. As long as they wash their hands with soap and water and they wipe the tables down with bleach. And I ask that they do that the kids wash their hands every single day, soap and water as they enter, because our son is afternoon. Mm-hmm. And we don't know what they just had for lunch. And that will carry through as far as when they come back from the lunchroom in future years, that they have to wash their hands soap and water. And honestly, I feel like that has helped his school. Like, I feel like there's been hardly any sick days. And I just feel like kids are so stinking germy. Like, I know it's a pain to like line the kids up, but I just think like, yeah, kids probably need their hands washed more than they probably are anyways. So
outside of just having food in their hands.
Yeah, for reals. Okay, so I'm sorry, I should have written this down, but okay, good question, Dina. So she's asking, what about summer camps? So 504 plans, from what I understand, are just for anything that receives government funding. So, which is why schools are under contract. So you have to see what kind of summer camp it is. If it's like a YMCA, probably not. You're just gonna have to work with them individually as far as what protections. Just call out and say, I usually do a 504 plan at my school. What protections, what paperwork, what kind of, maybe it's just a health plan at the summer camp, but you have to fill that out if you feel like they're gonna be trustworthy, they're gonna do what you say. And from school to school, so what's happened with us is they did like fax over the 504 plan, but we still had to fill the brand new one. And because, the school needs to see what they're signing up for and what they're going to be legally held to. So that's why we still sat down, we refilled out a new one, and there had to be fresh signatures, the new principal's signature, the new school nurse's signature. So it transfers in the sense of like they were aware that one was coming and they're aware that there's already accommodations being made, but it had to be new for the new school. Oh, okay. Yes, Amanda, I'll get to that. Thank you. So what else? I'm sorry, I should have written down, but That's moving. We almost didn't even do one again tonight, but we missed it last week because we were moving, and I was like, we cannot keep missing. Okay. Oh, it's getting so late. Sorry, there's so much to say about 504 plans. So I think that's the gist of it, is the hand washing, the notification. Am I missing anything?
Anything about how to handle his
He can self-carry his EpiPen, meaning I don't want it in the nurse's office, because I don't know about you guys, but in Utah, they keep EpiPens in the nurse's office. But the nurse is only there like 1 day a week. So I'm like, watch it, the nurse's office be locked. They can't get into it. I'm not comfortable with that. So, but you have to have an allergist note saying, because it's a needle, kid's carrying a needle, that he's allowed to self-carry. And then we have it being allowed that he's allowed to self-administer his inhaler, because he's been doing his inhaler since he was like 16 months old. So he knows how to do that himself. He can feel when his chest is tight. We trust him to take care of that and not have to wait for a teacher or wait for a school nurse if he's really feeling like his asthma is bad. And if he goes to like PE or music, his backpack can stay. No, it can stay in the classroom. But if he ever leaves campus, his backpack must be taken with him, either carried by him or the teacher, because I want it on him at all times, never leaving him with it. And then, the teachers must be trained on their EpiPen annually, and I must be notified that they were trained. We have like 10 or 12, but I think it's because it's broken out to little steps, but like it's fine print on our 504 plan. I'll think of more as you guys keep asking questions, but that's the gist of it. And I know that it brings me peace of mind knowing that things are spelled out and knowing that there's an agreement. Oh, it also has a portion where it says like parents' responsibility and students' responsibility. So like our parents' responsibility, we say, I will let them know if medications ever change. I'll make sure that the EpiPen and the inhaler are in his backpack daily. Yeah. The school is required to notify me if any medications are given, both verbally and in a medication log. So I need to be called. Like if they were to give him Benadryl because he's having like really bad seasonal allergies, or maybe he just gets like a topical rash, which has happened, I need to know, because I don't want to be dosing him again, not knowing that's already in his system, or like, why is he so tired?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not okay with them giving him medication and me not being aware of it. Whether it's Zyrtec, Benadryl, asthma. It prevents the training, the school nurse in Utah anyways. The school nurses do an annual training. What else? I know I'm going to just keep thinking things. And surely, as soon as we sign off on the live, I'll think of more. If your son didn't have such severe allergies, would you do a 5-4 plan? Yes. Yes, I would. If your child needs an EpiPen, I would say they need a 5-4 plan, because when you stop, that's another thing. If my child is sick, like as in they think he might be starting to have a reaction, he's not allowed to go to the bathroom alone, which might sound a little crazy, but when it was explained to me, they were like, let's say he's starting to be like, I don't feel very good, my stomach is hurting. Okay, what if he has to go to the bathroom by himself down the hall and pass out? The teacher just thinks he's going to the bathroom for a really long time. That doesn't feel comfortable to me.
Yeah.
So I said an adult has to assist him, because if his reaction progresses, he needs an adult by him stat. You know what I mean? So there's just all these little steps. So like what helped me is to visualize like every step of the day. Like, okay, coming in the classroom, the kid might have peanut butter on their hands. Okay, I need the tables wiped down with bleach every day before he comes to the classroom, because someone could have had something on their hands.
Yeah.
After lunch, I need to make sure that their hands are clean. I need to know if treats are brought in, that he will always have a safe option, that he won't be excluded. I need to know that if he goes on a field trip, that he will have his life-saving medications. I need to know, for me, that I go on all of his field trips, at least until like he's super embarrassed and old, that I'm still going. Like things like that. So just thinking of all those steps, because if your child needs an EpiPen, are they allowed to self-carry it? Is it going to be in the nurse's office? Who gives it? Do they know to call 911 before they call you? Like, there's so many little steps that you are going to wish were spelled out, heaven forbid, if a reaction ever happened at school. You don't want the guesswork afterwards and be like, oh, if we would have known that, we should, could have, would have, So yes, if your child needs an EpiPen, absolutely. Absolutely. Does an EpiPen go through clothes? Yes, it does. It can go
Yes.
through jeans.
She would know. He should
He
write a blog
loves
about
to
that.
he should loves to bring up the story.
She'll write a blog about that one.
I accidentally gave it to myself. Okay. Yes. Yes. I have a blog on food allergies. Yes. Yes. Hey, now I have to tell a story. I was doing dishes and my son came up to me and was like, remind me how my EpiPen works. And I thought I had a trainer. For those not familiar, they have fake ones that don't have a needle that you can practice on. And mom's like, you're busy and you're in the middle of something. And I was like, oh, you do this. And I like went to do it in my thigh. And I was like, ah! But then I was like trying to hurry and muffle myself because I didn't want.
You didn't want to traumatize
I
our
didn't
son.
want to be like scared to have one. I was like, this feels fine, And then I like had to call poison control because I didn't know if it was okay to have one, if it's medication, if I didn't need it.
And she was bouncing off the walls.
Yeah, because it's adrenaline. Epinephrine is man-made adrenaline. So my heart was racing and I was like twitching. It was really fun. And I was wearing my bathrobe at the time. That gives you like a better visual. And that needle, like, okay, I have lived in China and I had to get all sorts of immunizations for that. None of them compared to the EpiPen. They need to remanufacture that sucker because that needle is no joke. I was bleeding. Like I had like a blood stain this big. I've heard ABQ's needle is much better, not sponsored. Have not tried it. Hopefully I won't have to try it on myself again. I don't have any food allergies personally. But yes, an EpiPen can go through pretty much anything. And I think an important thing to remind your teacher and even remind babysitters, parents, that a child is not going to sit still while you stab them with a needle. Like you need to like wrap your legs around. Sorry, my white
especially
legs.
if they're expecting you to.
Yeah, because they're going to clench and they're going to want to move. So like you need to ninja wrap them with your body, okay, before you stick it in them. So because if they move, that needle's going to like rip their skin. Okay, like I've heard horror stories, needles bending, needles causing, more blood and stuff. So like you need to have either another adult or someone else hold it down. You can always, on the top of an EpiPen, it's blue. The part where the needle comes out, it's orange. So you say blue to the sky, orange to the thigh, if that helps. But yeah, it's just like CPR, right? Like to me, it equates CPR training because I'd be terrified to do the Heimlich on someone or to do CPR on someone, just like I'd be terrified to do an EpiPen. And you hope those days never come, but it's just as life-saving to me. And that's what drives me crazy is so many people like don't know how to administer epinephrine. But so many people have reactions there to bee stings, to medications, there's so many things you can have a reaction for and need epinephrine for. And it drives me crazy that there's this like stigma and people don't know how to use it. So thank you, Sherry, for asking because I think so many people are like, yeah, I know how to use one. And then they don't. And so just ask. Because even oh, really? Even if they're like having a full blown anaphylactic reaction, how do you get a student to hold still? Especially like a small child while you're stabbing them with a needle. That's interesting. Let me know, Sherry. Let me know. I would want someone to hold my child still while they because I don't know what kids can like. Hey, hold still. You know what I mean? Like that's crazy. That's so crazy. Interesting. Okay, you are so thorough. I am sad that you have to think about all this, but so glad that you have. I know, right? The things you would never think about or you ever want to think about, but you have to like do those scenarios in your head. Okay, so my little one just started nursery at church. I explained to them her allergies and looked at snacks. But I'm so worried. What do you guys do for church? We usually do a whole other thing on church. Because that's a whole other, there's like school and there's church.
But simplified, like our children have nursery / Sunday school.
And primary.
We call it primary. Mm-hmm. We communicate to the primary president or the Sunday school president. And we communicate to the teachers with the same details of this is what their allergies are. We provide them with a list of safe treats that they can give to our children, as well as ask for them not to bring.
Yeah, when they're that little.
Yeah, allergens to class if they can help it.
Yeah, and there are a lot of 504 plans that say like, and this is where I wanted to talk about yours, Amanda, where it's like you don't allow anything with that allergen in the classroom. Where we have like 30 that we can't do, I don't feel, I mean, I do feel like I have a good enough list. Honestly, they could. Like Dum Dum, Smarties, Skittles, like I feel like there's still enough options, but I understand that that's very restrictive to people and that's asking maybe too much. Like you have to realize like real world people have to be able to function. But there are people where it's like if you're airborne to peanuts, I think you can safely say there should be no peanuts ever for any reason in this classroom. You know what I mean? So Amanda has a good point. She says at my school they would have an emergency team run in and they can help assist and hold her down together. And that's crazy because so Sherry is saying, Sherry, how long have you been a teacher? She's a teacher in Utah first and now Idaho. And she feels like they don't train us well and I need you to teach me, which scares me because they will say like, we train our staff, we train our teachers. And teachers are quick to say, oh, I've been trained. But yeah, it's like, how comfortable do you really feel? Like in the heat of a moment, even as a parent, I'm terrified to give an EpiPen. I'm just going to be honest. I'm like, please don't. I hope they're okay. I don't want to have to give it. Don't want to have to give it. So I can only imagine if I am that familiar with it, how someone who's not familiar with it feels like. So it worries me, and I do feel like there needs be more advocacy on really helping teachers understand because it's just not fair to leave you in that situation and not leave you very well prepared. Yeah. So my friend Amanda, her daughter is contact reactive. So that's why they have to say, like, it cannot be in the classroom because literally touching it can cause anaphylaxis. Our son can be at the same table as it, as long as he doesn't ingest it. Or, yeah. Yeah. You know, if he used to touch his eyes or his nose, then it can cause issues. So the lack of knowledge at daycares and schools has astounded me. I know. I hear you, Dina. It's like starting over every time. My son was in the ICU before. He has been given peanut butter cups and candy at multiple parties in schools. Don't be, oh my gosh. I hope that you had a 504 plan in place and then you like seriously took it up. Because there was that story in New York, was it in the fall, where they had papers in place. The child was given a grilled cheese, you know, he had a dairy allergy, died. Yeah. And the school shut down. Like, it's no joke. Like, if they end up breaching their contract, you can fully, I'm not saying like sue, but you can take all the way up to the Office of Disabilities, whether it's just taking it to the, what's the next level up? The district. No, the district or, you know, whatever I'm saying. Like, that's when they sign, they are legally agreeing to protect your child in these ways. And that's why you have the meeting. Because if they're not comfortable, they need to bring it up then. You know, it's as much on their part to be like, we can't enforce this. Like, you're asking too much. And that's when you say, okay, and you go find another school. I've legit had allergy moms go, like, had to school shop, you know, as sad as that is. With, like, what are your numbers? What are your policies? How do you feel about this? And we're really fortunate that in Utah, you know, we have charter schools, we have private schools, we have public schools. Like, there's a lot of school options. But, I mean, for me, it's like not worth sending your child somewhere where you feel like they're just not even going to follow it. They're not going to keep my kid safe. You know what I mean? And I know allergy moms that straight up homeschool, where they're like, I have not found a good option. It is not worth it to me to risk my child's life. You know, and you have to do what you feel comfortable doing. I don't think you can tell anyone. Yeah. Like, you do you. You do what you feel is okay. How does 504 plans cover mistakes? Ooh, good one. Yes, you can work that in. Like, legit, I went to a 504 training meeting. Amanda, you were there, so tell me if you felt the same way. But I felt like, I mean, you can have 504 plan about like ADD and like other behavioral issues. Depression, ADHD, all those variations to children who have like crazy rare diseases. And like, you can work in anything. Like, if your child had ADHD, you can have an assigned note taker, attend all their classes with them. Like, I heard the craziest substitutions, and to this 504 coordinator, she was like, oh, that's like every day. Like, people do that. And I was just like, wow, this is so creative. And I thought it was cool how creative people got to assist these kids. And so if you need, like, I know my child with his asthma, especially in Utah, we have like the worst air quality in the nation. Like, they legit have red days where it's like, don't go outside. Like, my child has to stay inside during recess. Or my child gets so sick during the winter because of his asthma that he's going to miss above and beyond school, and those will automatically be not counted for him. Now, it's easier like in elementary school, right? Like they'll just have to do finger painting or whatever at home. But once you get into junior high, then you have to work it in. And the schools are used to that. They have like different things in place usually and ideas of how they've handled that because you won't be the first.
Yeah.
It'll be, they'll have to make only a certain percentage or so many pages, or they'll send a tutor, or there's ways to work around it if you have an older child. But that can certainly be worked in. So far, our son,
they take verbal tests.
Verbal tests instead of written. I mean, there's so many ways. So if you feel like, I think the best thing to do is work out like what you feel like your concerns are, and then if you don't feel like you've been able to think of a strategy around it, you can talk to your 504 coordinator because they've seen them all, and they can help you like, oh, these parents did this, or this worked for this other family. And that's why it's nice to review it every year, or even halfway through the year. If you start off the school year and you're like, whoa, this does not seem to be working for us, you can amend it. Like, it's not chiseled in stone. You know what I mean? The bus. Someone's bringing up the bus. That's a really good point. I know when our son was riding the bus, I was like, is the bus driver trained? And they had because he was younger, they had an assistant.
Yeah.
Is that what you call her? On the bus to watch the kids since the bus driver was driving and there was no food allowed on the bus. So yeah, every checkpoint you want to check, and I always think they were saying, oh, would you want to try new school lunches? And I was like, no, I will always pack because with 30 foods, it's just, I don't feel comfortable. Even if they were trying to be careful like that, I just try to open myself up for the least amount of, incidences that can happen. If you don't feel comfortable with the bus policy, drive them, get a neighbor, drive them, get a grandparent to drive them, depending on your work schedule. Go with your mom gut, go with what you think if you feel like it's not working for you guys. Yeah, so Amanda, she says, I interviewed 6 schools, and we should never be afraid to keep looking until we feel comfortable. Amen, Amanda, amen. Sorry, if I have missed your comment, just type it again. You won't be bothering me. I don't want to miss anyone, and it's hard because it just keeps scrolling up for us. Oops. Woo. We had to have a policy in place because I wanted an Epi on the bus. Yeah, because it was allowed in my son's backpack. That was okay. Oh, Cache Valley has the worst air. I'll let you win that. Yeah, I don't want the worst air. We have bad enough air as it is. Okay, so do we get everything? So we need to wrap up. I'm sorry this has been so long. I just feel like you hear 504 plan and it seems very confusing, and then you hear legal document and that might seem intimidating. And with our oldest just barely starting school the last few years, I know I felt intimidated as well, but I wish people wouldn't because it needs to be in place. If you have a question, ask. Just attack it until you get it. But I just want to make sure I answer all of Vivian's questions. So she says, what do you do about contact milk allergies and snacks eaten in the classroom? Ban it altogether. Yes, if it's contact, I would. And you should talk to Amanda. Amanda, she's on Facebook. Everyone uses wipes to wipe down their hands and surfaces. Yes, we do bleach wipes every day. And I even offer to bring it. I'm like, oh, let me start off your stock so you're not having to buy them first day of class. Here's a big container of bleach wipes. I think, and it's funny because, so his teacher that started out the year, I could tell she was so freaked out. And she was so nice. She didn't dare say anything. She's like, I'm just really nervous, By the end of the school year, guess what? Or not the end of the school year, because we moved mid-school year. She was like, I don't want Carter to go. He's so wonderful. I'm going to miss him so much. So she went from being terrified to have him in her classroom to loving him. And I think that really comes down to communication, thanking her, seeing that I was willing to not just ask for accommodations, but I was willing to do the parties. I was willing to do the Christmas party and the Thanksgiving party and show up and help and volunteer. You know what I mean? I think it is a sacrifice. It's hard to raise kids, period.
Yeah. And
it's extra work sometimes to have an allergy kid, but I just feel like you can't ask for all these accommodations and then not be willing to back your teacher up and help her out, And we even had an incident after the Halloween party where I had to talk to the teacher. I was terrified. And I waited till it was in person. And I was just like, I felt really uncomfortable when this happened. Did you notice this happened? What can we do better next time? Have those face-to-face conversations, even if you're pooping your pants. Because I was a little bit beforehand. I was like,
and what happened was a parent brought an allergen food to a school event, and there was no 24-hour notice or anything like that. They
showed on up.
They just showed up. They were handing them out, and then when
the teacher didn't want to like own
the
it.
teacher, they approached the teacher approached them about it, but the teacher kind of directed them to Megan.
Yeah, you can tell she didn't want to tell him no. She was like, go ask her. And it was like, it's Butterfingers. It has peanut butter in it. Like, you should have said no. Did not make me police your classroom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was just like, I felt uncomfortable because what if I hadn't been there? Would you have had the guts to tell the parents no? That type of conversation. It was tough. Oh, did I mention the book though? I think I was trying to say it. And then something else came up.
The book.
Crucial Conversations.
You mentioned it in the past.
Yeah. Crucial Conversations. Okay. Such a good book. It was a business book. He's read it. And what is that saying? Sorry, we're getting like some weird notifications.
Well, it's because it's all at the bottom. That's what it does.
Hey, Alicia.
Oh man, I would have said stop.
Yeah, that's weird.
Stop or snap?
I don't know. Anyways, the Crucial Conversations is a really good book because it was like for business, and it's very much like how to have difficult conversations, own your part, hold other people accountable, hold yourself accountable, but how to do it from a very centered way, not emotional, and it's able to like, it's a win-win. I feel like it's not like trying to be manipulative or win your way, but it's like really how to make like, what's a good way to say it? Like negotiate and come together. Mediate. Yeah, it's like a mediation book. And when I read it, I was like, this is so good. In fact, it's been a few years. I feel like I need to reread it because it's just so handy. So if you feel like you need tips and this is an uncomfortable area for you, I'd 100% recommend that book. It's like well known. We need the school to act as a buffer between us and the parents. Yes, it's their classroom. They need to police it. We're not the policemen. Similar situations have happened to me, and it really sucks. Yeah, because you hate being like the bad guy, you know? And you know what? I'll be honest, because I was the one that went over and was like, can you please not have that out? You know, I'm sorry that's not safe. It was at me, that same mom, the next party, and I was like, oh, you know, like you have all those like nervous feelings of like, she's gonna hate me, or she's gonna remember me as a new mom. And I was like, you know what? Like it's so funny how like all of a sudden you can feel like you're back in high school or something, right? And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go up to her and like have a conversation with her. And we were like, who's your kid? Who's your kid? Oh, how many do you have? And like by the end, I felt like we weren't like best. I don't remember her name, to be honest. But I felt like we were able to have a nice conversation and bridge that awkward gap. And it sucks because sometimes you have to be the one to do that. Because people might feel like, oh, it's the allergy parent. Oh, it's the woman who's like on a mission. And I feel like, yeah, he sucks. Like swallow that pill and be the one to say hi and go to that effort. Because at the end of the day, you want more advocates on your side. And I can't tell how many people are like, oh, I didn't understand food allergies until we met you and your family, but you were so friendly about it and you were so encouraging about it. So just always remember, like, not only could you be burning a bridge for you and you and your family, but the future allergy parents. You know, like now I feel like the teachers that we've come in contact with who thought, oh, we can just have our kids use antibacterial hand sanitizer. No, I'm sorry, that doesn't work. It has to be soap and water or bleach wipes. Yeah. You know, and now they know. Any future food allergy kid they get, hopefully it will be a help to them. So Crucial Conversations, Amanda, is the book. I'll link to it as well in the comments. Thanks, Alicia. Okay, so a few more questions from Vivian. So she says, what works well for you after lunchtime? Hand washing, allergy table. Oh, it's getting long. Allergy table.
Allergy table. We're not really on board with the allergy table.
No. And we would be if he was contact reactive, but he would be sitting by himself because he has so many allergens. Like even a peanut-free table would not protect him. And I just feel like sometimes people just want to exclude so they don't have to be responsible versus like be creative. And for our oldest, at least, he is so careful and he has had a reaction. He remembers what it's like, that he doesn't share food. He doesn't touch other people's food. So we feel safe with him being at another table. And we have had controlled experiments at home where I have eaten peanut butter across the table from him. and he's been fine in the same room. You know, things like that. And I'm not saying everyone should do that. I'm not saying be touching your kid with or having them ingest it. I'm just saying we've tried to mimic the schoolroom atmosphere to see how he's done.
Yeah.
And he's
responsibly.
Yeah, responsibly, and he's done fine. So, but our next child, we might have him sit at the other because, like I said, if it looks yummy, just today at the grocery store.
I don't even think that even stopped him. The way he is,
yeah,
they'd have an allergy table, and he'd probably not even be sitting.
Yeah,
he'd probably be running around.
Talk to us in a few years. We're gonna be having freaking heart attacks with him. Okay. So my school put a desk at the end of the table at work so he isn't alone. He's contact reactive. See, I love it when people come up with creative solutions. Okay, that way they know it's just his zone, it's his area. They can keep it clean, and talk to the lunch ladies. My friend was a lunch lady, and so she told me about different dynamics in the school because teachers usually aren't in the lunchroom. They're either working through lunch, they're eating their own in the cafeteria. So there can be ways, and you just find out who's that person that's in charge, who's that person that's around my kid at this time of the day. Let me talk to them. Let me see what solutions they can come up with. Because I think at the end of the day, most people want to keep your kids safe. Most people want to help. They just don't know how. And that's where crucial conversations come in handy. The name of the book. She says at allergy tables, do you limit the types of allergens students can eat? Or do you just implement spacing between seats and special cleaning protocol? You can do either. Vivian, again, I don't know the severity of your allergies. We just heard a great suggestion over on Instagram. Do you feel like there's a prejudice about only accommodating nut allergies? I don't.
Only accommodating nut allergies?
I don't know that I would.
Other food allergies?
You can share your thought.
I would assume no. I think people just used to nut allergies. As far as publicity of nut allergies.
I feel like I don't know if I would say prejudice. I don't like how strong that word is. I feel like there's better education and understanding about nut allergies.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah. And
it's more common.
It's common. And it's so easy to spot.
And spoken about.
Either if it's got nuts in it, most of the time it's got chunk and texture, so it's easy to see. Or you can smell the peanut butter. Milk, no idea. There could be butter in it. You'd have no idea. Wheat is harder to always know. So I just feel like people get nut allergies because it's quite cut and dry. You know what I mean? But I think more and more people are understanding food allergies because they're becoming more and more prevalent. Mm-hmm. But yes, I think people, when they hear food allergy, they automatically think peanut. Yeah. These are just some questions I've had. Okay. Let me know, Vivian, if I didn't answer all your questions. We can do a 504 part 2, but I think we should end for the night. Yeah. Okay, so let me just make sure I got everyone's comments. So at lunch, we have my daughter sit at a desk. Oops, sorry. Did I already read this one? Yes, I did. Yes. Or else someone else had the same one. Yeah. So good. Yay! Two people. Rebecca. Sorry. I can't remember the name of the other lady. So Sherry was saying, so she's a teacher, and she says, I get so strict and stop the food trading that kiddos do in the cafeteria. Thank you, Sherry. They're sneaky. They trade food. I'm in the cafeteria 10 to 15 minutes every day. Yeah, so.
Naughty. And that would be our son. He'd be the one doing the food trading.
Yeah, our second son.
Our second
one. Start up more meditation and yoga. I believe in meditation and yoga. I've been trying to do it, and I'm going to do a lot more with this kid. He's driving me to my grave. Anyways, okay. So we hope that was helpful. Like I mentioned, FARE, F-R-A-E, has some really good resources about 504 plans. Talk to other allergy moms. I'll be writing that blog post soon. And in the meantime, thank you for visiting my website, guys. I'm super excited. Last big piece. Is there anything else you wanted to add? Okay. The last big piece I wanted to say. So the last time we did a live, I did this big announcement that announced I'm going to be doing an official cookbook. Yeah. I can announce that the contract has been signed. I'm super excited. It's with Page Street Publishing. That is their specialty. I feel like it's going to be done really phenomenally well. And I didn't say the topic because I didn't know if I could. So I had to check with my publisher. And I can say it now. It's going to be an allergy-friendly Instant Pot cookbook because hello, Instant Pot, right? Who has one? Who loves it? And allergy moms need quick, easy meals. So I'm super excited because it's gonna just like really narrow it down. You're not gonna need a ton of cooking tools, just the Instant Pot. So if you ever hear another allergy mom being like, oh, I wish I had more Instant Pot recipes, tell her to hold on because I have got one coming for her. We just tried another recipe tonight. We are literally trying a new recipe every single night. We have been for months. So we are working hard to recipe. Yes, no joke. No joke.
Sometimes multiple times a day.
I'm like, what did you think of this quinoa? What did you think of these beans? What did you think of this rice? Like, but so it's coming at you. Get excited. Please keep telling your other allergy moms and parents about me because the more love, the more traffic my site gets, the more people I can have help me so we can crank out the best content for you guys. But we love, love, love these lives. I don't know about you. Did you miss doing it last week?
Yeah, I missed it.
Yes, he did. I personally really missed it. I love talking with you guys. I love interacting. You know, sometimes you just like you post and you don't get to like have much interaction. So I love that we do these where we can connect as a community. So thank you for joining. Thank you, Kimberly. Can't wait. Thank you. I'm so excited. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey guys, have a great night. I'll be sure to keep this live on. Oops, sorry YouTube, you still there? Gosh, we're not used to doing live YouTube. Can you tell? Oh, Little Pump says, I have a question, but they didn't see what their question is. Anyways.
Really, Lil Pump?
No, El Tabor.
No, I'm sorry. You know who Lil Pump is?
No. Okay. Anyways, sorry. Have a good night, guys. Thank you for joining. Good luck with your 504 plans. I hope it goes well. I hope we can all keep our kiddos safe. Take care. See ya. Want to say bye?
Bye.